Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with Jay Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is, I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast. I appreciate so much you tuning in. And as always, I start each week by thanking you for tuning in to what's been going on the last week. I know we've done several solo episodes in a row, and I assume the solo episodes are not as enjoyable. You'd much rather I interview somebody, but you know what? Your numbers, your likes, your comments, everything, they've meant a ton, and I'm glad you're enjoying them. We've had a whole lot of marketing focus lately, because really, that's what folks have been following up with me about. I know we've done some brain health stuff lately, and then, what was it, a month ago? I think we interviewed my friend Ron Keel, the rock star, so we always like to have some fun. But today, we're going to focus on marketing, specifically the digital marketing world. You guys know that my company, Capitalized Marketing, that we offer marketing services for clients, and then we also have our online portal, Capitalize Your Best. And so it's a lot of what I do, but I also love bringing on folks who are immensely smart, smarter than I am, and we can kind of have a roundtable to talk about marketing, digital marketing, those services. And then that way, while you're watching or listening, wherever you like to get your podcast, you can hopefully take some things away. They're going to help your business, help your platform. And so by doing that, we hope to just kind of serve a little bit. So today, for the first time ever, I'm bringing on not one, but two guests. And I have my friends Vanessa and Sheena from Marketing Muse. Ladies, how are y'all?
We are doing well.
Good, good. If you don't mind, would you each introduce yourself a little bit for my sake and for everybody watching and listening? Let us know a little bit about you and your background, and then we'll just kind of have a good conversation. So, Vanessa, would you start?
Sure. So I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom turned digital marketing agency owner, co-owner with Sheena. And we've started from a coffee chat. So I was a ex-corporate employee. My last job was in the sales and marketing department. COVID pushed me out of it. Had to go ahead and quit and resign from my almost 18 years of being an employee from one company.
Wow, wow. And Shanna, tell me how introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everyone. I am honored to be here, by the way. Thank you, Gordon, for having us. I'm Sheena, and I was a former engineer, and I became a digital marketer when I started having kids. So I always tell everyone my kids made me do it. All right.
Oh, I
So
love it.
I left
Well, that
I left
way,
an engineering career. Go for it.
well, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. Good or bad, we get to blame our kids. I'm sorry, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. We get to blame our kids for everything, but it's a good thing in this case. So before building Marketing Muse Inc. with Vanessa, I still am running Facebook ads and manage Facebook ads for clients, and so that's kind of where I left my engineering job for, and I've been in this business for almost 6 years now. So
Wonderful.
it's exciting.
Well, congrats for both of you. I mean, how hard is it to be in something that you've done for a long time? You've enjoyed it. You've had some success. And then all of a sudden, we all had that massive fork in the road with 2020 and what we're going to do. And now you've both started this brand new company. You've got experience, but you're doing it and you're succeeding. I know you're succeeding because I've interacted with both of you. You're both immensely wise. You have fantastic wisdom. Tell us, if you don't mind, tell us Marketing Muse. Tell me, what do you hope? I mean, what's the company? What's its focus? What services do you offer? Tell us a little bit about Marketing Muse first.
Go ahead and do the honor. Yeah.
Okay. So Marketing Muse, so Vanessa and I actually met through a coffee chat, a virtual coffee chat in another Facebook group. And in that meeting, in that chat, in that conversation was a desire to build a community, which we did and have had for at least 3 years now. But
Wow.
and the growth really happened in the past, in this past year. And so and Marketing Muse is actually, kind of started just this year with
Wow.
what we call our 3C framework, and it's community, connections, and conversations, right? And while the system is all, techie and nice and all that good stuff, really what we're about is we are empowering, building community, having authentic connections and purpose-driven conversations, because now you have a system that supports all of that.
Amazing, amazing. So when the two of you are out looking for clients to serve, the buzzword is avatar, ideal client, anything like that. Vanessa, when you guys are looking, who would you say, like in your brain when you're speaking online or putting out content, who's the target? Whose ear are you trying to attract?
Mainly that would be like, business coaches,
Mm-hmm.
high ticket coaches who already have their own, like, they've already got followers. They've already have a framework, a course program. And mainly these coaches will have their students asking them, what kind of system do you guys or would you recommend?
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually, like, you're a high ticket coach yourself, you would go ahead and take them to another different platform, and eventually the client acquisition is so high that you have to go ahead and keep running all these, like, offers, challenges, webinars, master classes, and then you just have to go ahead and have that high turnover also. What happens to your clients who are graduating from your program, and instead of like retaining them with something that they can actually pay into you, can be like, a passive monthly recurring income for you. So that's our avatar.
So you're helping high ticket coaches who have a program, and when their clients begin to graduate, you're helping those high ticket coaches create, in a sense, a marketing agency where you go from creating a program to providing support services for those coaches. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Yes.
because for you, for example, you're capitalize your bets. And most of the time, you would go ahead and tell them, I build my funnels into this. I
Mm-hmm.
use a autoresponder for this. I use a course membership for this. I use calendar system for this, or I use a scheduler for this. So with our system, we can customize it to your own brand.
So Shanna, like that massive list of Vanessa, just everything that she just offered, every person who owns a marketing company or an agency hears that and go, I want all of those things. And it's overwhelming. You get all those things, and it's like going into like a buffet. You don't even know where to start. So, Shanna, where would you encourage, like, what's the first thing? If you want to grow between a one-on-one coach, what's the first thing that you would encourage the coach to add into their system to help them grow from going being just a coach to being more of an agency? What's the first thing you'd recommend?
I think the first recommendation would be, well, so one of the things, that we do is, we were able to save you time, right? Or your people time, because you're not having to patch in all these multiple things, and now you have more time to build your community, to connect with your people, to have conversation with them, instead of trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what the heck is going on with tech.
Right,
Right?
right.
And so the first thing that I would ask if someone comes up to us is, how many existing clients do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's also kind of key in your system, because if you have one or two clients, then your system, is not fully tested yet. Right? And maybe it works just okay with one or two clients. But now when you're ready to put in 10 clients, 20 clients, okay, now your system is going to be put to the test. And now
Right.
let's see, like, is it now worth to go to an agency style, and and make your own system as part of your offer, right? And simplifying not just your system, but their system too, right? Because the reality is you're simplifying your system as a coach, and you're simplifying your student system as they grow their business, right? Because it's a one-stop shop for everything.
So I'm going to ask a real nerd, deep in the woods, digital marketing question. So for anybody who's listening and watching the show, I'm going to give you some background. But for my coaches out there, or anybody, this is a big, deep in the woods nerd question. So for anyone who doesn't understand, a funnel, whether it be with ClickFunnels or another company, is essentially a landing page where perhaps you'll give an offer. And then folks will put in some contact information, maybe even purchase something, and then they go into the funnel, and then you offer more and more deeper you go in the funnel. And it's also a way of sort of qualifying leads. And so this is, if you've ever seen Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone or anyone give something away on Facebook, they're using a funnel. Now, when funnels get built, the next question is, how in the world does someone see my funnel? And the traditional answer to that is Facebook ads, which Shannon said you were really doing that, right?
Yes.
But we also have friends who would say you don't need to run any ads until your revenue is $100,000 a year. Okay, there's the paradox, right? How is anyone going to find my funnel unless I pay for an ad, but I don't necessarily have a lot of revenue to push behind the ad? So there's the chicken or the egg question. Either one of you, whoever wants to answer the question, what do you do? Do you build an ad and just promote it on your own, or do you throw some Facebook money behind it? What do you think?
So I actually agree with that, because the reality is, Facebook ads is not a magic bullet, and everyone is looking for that. Like everyone is. I've had a lot of conversations, people thinking that, oh, I put in $25, it should spit out, the phone should start ringing. There's a meme.
Right.
There's a meme about that. But the reality is, you need testing money so that you can have your numbers and analyze your numbers. And now you may need to update your landing page. And now you may need to update your verbiage, your copy, and all that good stuff. And so the first $1,000 of your ads is all about testing. Right. And so if you don't have money to quote unquote burn to get that testing, then you're already on the negative in your books. And for us, what we did is we actually joined Facebook groups that are relevant to the people that we're trying to reach. Right. And organic marketing is really what it is. And this is where you really practice your connection and conversation muscle. Right, because this isn't your community, this is someone else's community, but you connect with those people because these are your avatars, and you build that connection and that conversation. And actually, I want to hear from Vanessa because she's really good at this. She's amazing at this.
Please, Vanessa.
I have learned on going into Facebook community. And back in the days when Facebook was not even around, forums or threads are where it's at, right? And if we go back into those days, they are very highly niche and highly targeted because everybody's talking the same thing, looking for the same thing, asking for the solution that they need or get to the destination that they want to go to. Basically, when you go into these groups, Facebook for some time already is replicating what Google is like. So they have their own platform. And basically, you have about 2.8 by now billion users. And Facebook is pretty much a plethora of communities where Facebook realized back in the days, it's like communities would be good. And that's where Facebook groups were born. And basically, it's the same thing as a forum. And when you do Google, they are thinking, hey, if Google can go ahead and have a search engine for specific people looking for specific solution for their specific problem, then they can go ahead and congregate in there, share whatever that they need to share, and whoever is the admin who created that group basically is the one running the ship, right? It's kind of like what do you call that? Trojan horse kind of effect, right?
Well, so let me share a story and get your opinion on it. So the Facebook group model is amazing. You can I joked the other day, you can find a Facebook group that collects old Coca-Cola bottles, and then immediately someone on the chat said, "Yep, I just found a bunch of them." And so, if you've got an interest, you can find them. And so, when you know your ideal client, you can go and spend time with them. And so, I always encourage folks, just go be a nice human being in the group. That's your biggest task. Like, just go be a friend, answer questions. Well, of course, whenever you do that, people are going to start messaging you and try to start selling you things. And so it's an exercise. Sometimes I'll just have a conversation with them. I'll let them sell me. I let them pitch me. And the other day, this weekend, I had someone first message. I mean, it was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And so I interacted with them a little bit, but I was like, "Hey, listen, cold DMing people is not always the best approach. I'd love to tell you about an approach that's different." And they called me low-hanging fruit. Are you familiar with that expression? Low-hanging fruit. And I said, "Well, that's a bit of an insult." I was like, listen, at that point in time, I was like, "I wish you well. Congratulations on your business. Good luck." And so when you join a group and you want to start these relationships, it's very difficult to be patient. You want to just grab someone and start a conversation. Like, "I've got a service for you." So can either one of you share with me a little bit about what it's looked like for you to be part of a Facebook group, naturally nurture a relationship, and actually turn it into a client? Do you have an example maybe you could share with us?
Oh, we were just talking about this just yesterday.
Good.
It's called
effortless.
No names.
No names.
Connection. Oh, no names. But then it
effortless
was
connection.
effortless connections in 3 simple steps.
Ooh,
because it connects to what you were talking about, because we have experienced the same thing. And the recent one that we have experienced is with my own. People are just like sending friend requests, like what you are receiving, right? Mm-hmm. It's either that you are the sender or you are the recipient. Mm-hmm. But the thing with that too is that, as a recipient, you would be curious to know, how did they come across with your personal profile, mm-hmm. right? And that's a great icebreaker for them to go ahead and say, "Oh yeah, I saw you inside a group, which is specific group, and I saw you posting something that resonates with me or commented on something." So in that way, inside the Facebook group that is all public or maybe private, but the post is public to the members, right? They see it. Mm-hmm. But once you have actually have that connection in that public post inside that Facebook community, you'll be able to go ahead and just get to know them first. Mm-hmm. The KLT factor kicks in. So the simple step into it is just engaging into the inside a Facebook group where people are actually hanging out with the same interests. So I'll go ahead and let Sheena continue on with the second step.
Okay.
So once you engage, you're a little bit visible, right? And typically you don't just engage one day. You don't engage, you would engage probably 4 or 5 days consistently. Maybe take the weekends off, and then so that way you're consistently showing up, right? And the next thing is, when you're engaging, you would look at the people that you're engaging with and kind of think about, is this the person that I want to connect with? Right. And so this is the quality over the quantity part. And then once you realize it's someone that you want to connect with, you go ahead and check out their profile. And this is really simple, you guys. And this is what I do. And Vanessa taught me this. I probably have mastered it now, because this is what I do. Is if I want to show up in someone's page, if I want to get their attention, I go in their profile, and what we call the LLC method. I love, comment in their public post. What that does is, now I'm showing up in their notifications. Sheena just liked your post or loved your post. Sheena just, loved your post. Oh, Sheena left a comment on your post, right? So now I'm showing up in their notifications. And now I'm going to go on the third day, I'm going to go reach out and say, "Hey, I saw you post this and I really love it." Or, "This is such an interesting post. Why did you post it?" Or something like that digs deep, right?
So,
Go
quick
ahead.
question: Were you love commenting before the friend request or after the friend request?
Before the friend request, you want to do that
Okay, that
before the
makes a
friend
lot of
request
sense.
because
So,
you,
public
yeah. So you
profiles.
get
You,
your attention first.
gotcha. And so that way, when maybe they've even interacted with your comment, so that by the time you send a friend request, it's more of a soft friend request and not so you're not really going to be able to do that with any software of any sort. That's the hard work of getting in there and getting to know someone. Is that right? Makes a
Exactly.
lot of sense.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
So right now, it. Tell me if you've seen this. You both of you ladies have been in the industry so long. I mean, I got Facebook literally 15 years ago. I mean, when it. I mean, I was. Someone told me. I remember the conversation. There's this thing called Facebook. You've got to check it out. And so it was like maybe not 15. I think it was '08. So close to there.
Mhm.
And back at that point in time, I was not far away from when I used to manage an eye doctor's office, and we would pay for the yellow pages, and we would spend, you know, thousands of dollars on the yellow pages. But when social media popped over, yellow pages went away, and people started having, their presence there. And the problem was is that people wouldn't spend the money though. They just thought, oh, well, social media is free. I don't have to spend the money that I used to spend on yellow pages. So, for you ladies, what would be your recommendation if a company said, "Okay, I'm going to spend the money on, let's say I have a local restaurant, and I'm going to spend the money on social media." Where would you encourage it? Would you encourage them to pay for investment and coaching for their manager? Would you pay for ads? A local restaurant, where would you encourage them to spend their money on a monthly basis?
I think the coaching piece is more it becomes relevant and should be more on the training versus the marketing,
Okay.
and having a marketing budget is always a good thing, and knowing your goals is especially if you do start running ads, like knowing your goals and what your goals are when you start running ads, right? And one of the things that I always have asked, even restaurants when they would come to me, and local markets when they would come to me and say, "Hey, I'm interested in running ads," is okay. So what are your goals? And it's just blank stare, right? And I'm like, well, if your goal is to just get your name out there, and it's just social media engagement, we're not getting any data, then that's not a bad goal, but just be aware that you're
Right.
probably going to get likes and all these other you know vain metrics, right?
Mm-hmm,
Versus
mm-hmm.
if you have an app, now we can ask people to sign up and get bonuses when they, on the
Right.
number of
Right.
drinks or whatever, right? Or if you have an email list, right? I mean, I'm in a ton of food restaurant email list, right? So now these are not just vanity metrics. Now we're talking about real assets,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so a lot of the local market, when they come to me, they don't think like that, and
So,
that's kind of scary. And having
you,
the goal when you do start spending money in digital marketing, whether that's Google or ads or Facebook ads, it's a big thing. That would be the first thing.
so, Shannon, you just mentioned drips, and so let's talk about that for a minute. So, everybody, a drip campaign is a gradual and continual email plan where you are emailing someone who's given you their email address, so it's completely legit. But on a regular basis, every other day, once a week, whatever the case may be, they're getting a little bit of information from you. So ladies, Vanessa, what do you think makes for an effective drip campaign? You've got an email and you want to get people's attention or maybe to buy something. What do you think makes for an effective drip campaign?
I just learned about this from one of email copywriter, and she
Mm-hmm.
talked about it, and we have interviewed her inside our group. And the email sequence and how you actually take them from one place to another
Mm-hmm.
would really sets forth when it comes to like introducing yourself, right? What's the reason why they opted in into your landing pages to start receiving. And then another thing is to like tell your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they want to know what your story, what made you start with this business or whatsoever. What was the advocacy behind it? Why you're now coming out to the marketplace? And then you can go ahead and start taking them into like maybe a testimonial from a past client.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and ask them, maybe you would like to receive or give them like a discount,
Sure.
kind of like
Sure.
alluring them, like try this with a discount. Then you can go ahead and like really segue them into like inching them to even ask them, hey, I would like to know what you think about it. But it doesn't have to be like a one-way street,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to for them to go ahead and talk to you too. So in that way,
Right.
you are gaining their trust. You're asking them for a conversation to talk to you. Maybe perhaps like, hey, have you tried our product or service or whatsoever? What you think about it? And then ask them for a reply, because people wants to talk to, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be sold, but they do want to buy. But
Right.
behind it, you can always ask like what you think of it, because people will say, well, they will tell you.
Well, that I mean, that's a great quote. You're right. People don't want to be sold, but they do want to buy. And so you're offering that an effective drip campaign is really going to tell your story. It's going to give them background about who you are, why you're doing what you do, maybe a client or customer testimony, so that people know there's some legitimacy for what your offer is or what you do. And then, actually, what was the end? Asking for feedback from the email recipient. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really important to like, get to talk to them. Like, you're encouraging to for you to go ahead and like talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to just like, okay, give or whatsoever, sell. But the best buyers of customers that you will have are the ones that who is already looking for something that they're in the market of.
Right.
And then they can go ahead and give you what you want. And then you can go ahead and create more offers, create more products. That's where market research comes in, right? A lot of them, like companies, would go ahead and test things out. They're not just going to go ahead and like, how did Uber come about? How did
Okay.
Amazon come about?
Sure.
Right?
So,
So,
ladies, we've got all this going on. Did I cut you off, Vanessa? I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Okay, so we've got all this going on. We've got Instagram now saying they're no longer a photo sharing platform, they're a video platform. So, of course, you can still share a photo, but they're emphasizing Reels, which is, of course, is a response to all the massive momentum that TikTok has. Facebook's going in the same direction. This is probably going to air 2 weeks after we're talking about it, but there's been a really ugly algorithm adjustment this week. Like, I'll give you an example. I posted a reel yesterday and got 34 views. I posted one today and got 17,000 views. And that makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I'm very excited to get 17,000, but there's no reason that should happen when you're posting similar content at the same time, similar hashtags. So definitely the future of these platforms is video, video, video. 60 seconds, education, get in and out, get someone's attention. But in addition to that, I mean, you ladies have seen so much. What do you think the next 6 months of digital marketing is going to look like? What's your opinion?
You want me
want to
to just
go
go
for
for
it,
it?
Chance? Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why, you mentioned TikTok and how it's kind of, the format has taken over. And we actually
Mm-hmm.
just learned this with a conversation that we had with another interview that we had with Chris Williams a couple of days ago. And he mentioned how you need to have a movie where all of your stuff is kind of shown, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have trailers, right? And I feel like for all of these platforms, whether it's TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Stories, IG Stories, even YouTube Shorts, those could be your Reels, right? But regardless of
Mm-hmm.
all those things, you still would need a movie or where your
Mm-hmm.
movie is, right? Because where you host your movie is now exclusive. It could also be ticketed, right? And for
Mm-hmm.
us, our movie is in our Facebook group. and it's exclusive. It's not necessarily ticketed. We do have to fill out, a short form so that you could be inside. And so what we do is we just splice these little, we would splice clips of these things and just put them where our reels would be. And I think for social, because it's headed that way, you just kind of adapt. But the reality is, the reality of business is that you need to build your audience wherever they are, right? And back then it's landing page emails right away, right? And then they said, oh, emails doesn't work anymore because the open rates is so low, and so now it evolved into DMs, which is true, which is what we do, right? Part of what we do is we build our email list because that's where the asset is, and then we continue to nurture and have build our connections, have purpose-driven conversations in the DMs and in our community, right? And so regardless on where social is headed, you kind of have to adapt, but really the goal is you build your audience, because that's kind of what drives business, right? If you don't have an audience, you don't have a business. That's the reality.
That's right. What I have felt talking with clients and potential clients is this move to video is leaving a lot of people behind. Sometimes it's hard for people to post a photo and copy, but to literally do this and then begin editing, it's not as hard, but it is a big barrier. And I think the gulf is going to be created that if people aren't doing that, they're either not going to market or they're going to have to pay companies more and more to do that kind of thing. And that makes sense for a Facebook model, because then you're paying for ads. I would not be surprised if Facebook began offering those services, like contracted video creators, because people are going to be left behind if they don't just pick up their phone and begin speaking to their audience. Ladies, so Vanessa, I would ask you, if people right now were looking to build an audience, would you encourage them to start with a private Facebook group, email, a text string? I don't know. If you're trying to get people to build their own audience, I've got my thoughts, but I want to hear yours and go from there. Where would you get them to start if they're trying to build their own audience online?
Well, if we look into Russell Brunson's traffic secrets and understanding where your audience are hanging out, where they're congregating, and basically if you're like a brick and mortar, you want to go to the best location, right? Mm-hmm. Where people are just like streaming, walking, seeing you, maybe take a peek what your offer or whatsoever. But in an online space, it's like an infinite, right? It's a plethora. The sky is the limit. But the only problem is that if you're actually renting the platform, which is Facebook, you got to go ahead and build your assets somewhere, correct? Because at one point this year, Facebook got lost in the ether. Basically, you can't even log on or whatsoever, which means all of your Facebook group members didn't see you. And if you're running like a webinar inside a Facebook group, they can't find you. So if you didn't actually gather their emails, you're at a loss. Your asset is pretty much their emails, how to get a hold of them. So you have to find a way where you can go ahead and have your own, maybe a channel, or email them hey, you may not see me on the Facebook group, or maybe YouTube went out, right? But you still have ways to reach out to them through that email list. So Facebook is a good way to go ahead and gather out of the percentage of 2.8 billion users, because your Facebook group can be as many as 10,000, because on your personal profile, you can only have at least 5,000 friends on your list. But you got to go ahead and focus into building your assets, and then knowing where to gather them and train them basically to hey, this is where I show up, what time, what day, And
Mm-hmm.
then people will just like, get used to like, hey,
That's
Gordon
right.
is coming on this day, on this time. I gotta go ahead and listen to him. So
That's right.
you gotta go ahead and figure out ways to really like congregate them without
I
even
love it.
renting someone else's.
I love it. So, well, ladies, I want to be mindful of your time. You've given an immense amount of wisdom in just a short amount of time. If folks were interested in Marketing Muse, where would be the best place to find you guys?
Go,
So
Shanna.
we are
Web.
both active. We are both active on Facebook. You can
Mm-hmm.
you can look us up on my full name is kind of complicated. Sheena Tolentino Un. We do have a Facebook page that's fairly active, Marketing Muse Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's links there where you can join our community. That's where we're most present. That's where we put together guides and things like that. We have YouTube, we have reels everywhere, but our movie is happening in our community.
Love it. I love it. So, okay. And Vanessa, tell everyone your full name so we can find you online if you want to be found.
I actually have like Vanessa ZeeGee in
Okay.
on
Perfect.
Facebook. But that's how you can find me. I need to go in and change it to my real name. I mean, last name from like Zamora Gorham. But
Mm-hmm.
that's my like
Love it.
official name.
Okay. But your Facebook group seems to be where you guys are providing the most content, interacting with the most folks, and you want folks to find you there. So, everyone who's watching and listening, I'll make sure the ladies give me their links and we'll put them in the show notes. That way you can get out and find them. I highly recommend their services. They're incredibly wisdom knowledgeable, and they're wise, they're knowledgeable, and they're very gracious. They're gracious if they're patient and working with me. So ladies, any last thoughts? Shanna, any last thoughts for us? And then Vanessa, Shanna, what about you? Any last things you'd like to offer or share?
I think the only thing that I would share is, if you have any ideas, just put it out there, just publish,
Yes,
no
I
matter
love it.
how imperfect it is.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So Vanessa,
And
how
for
about you?
me, yeah, for me, if you are really utilizing social media a lot, don't take out the social. Be social to like put back the social into the social media, because if
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to go ahead and focus on the collection, the connection will not be there. People are not going to go ahead and like connect to you, or even like advocate for you, or even recommend you, even despite the fact that they didn't like buy into your product. They know who you are, and then they
Mm-hmm.
will recommend you because of what you do, how you advocate, and then why you're doing it, because they know your story. So bring back the
Love
social
it.
in social media.
So back to being social, just being a kind person online. Just be a human being. Be nice. Thank you. Congratulate people. Welcome people. Be nice to people. And then Shanna's recommendation is fantastic. Just put it out there. It's okay. We all have content that we look back on and we kind of laugh at ourselves a little bit, but that's okay. That's what everybody is doing. And you get better and better as you go through it. So I love that. Just the biggest way to get rid of the nervousness is just put it out there. And you'll find the kind people, the social that Vanessa mentioned, who will be encouraging to you. And then you'll find out who you don't want to work with and interact with. Both of them are there. But ladies, I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate all your time. I know that I'm going to interact with you over the next couple of days, but I appreciate the time you give for everybody who's watching and listening. Again, thanks so much. We will talk soon. And for everyone else who's watching and listening to the show, always, I can't believe you tune in every week. It means a ton. You can find me online. You can find my Facebook group at Capitalize Your Best. And that's also my website, capitalizeyourbest.com. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Small business owners, you should be praised for wanting to grow your business. That's a good thing, and not everybody has the guts to do it. As a business owner myself, I know you've overcome obstacles that people don't even know about. Hi, my name is Gordon Duncan, the owner of Capitalized Marketing and Consulting, and I want you to know that if your business hasn't grown like you want it to, it's not your fault. If it's not COVID getting in the way, it's ridiculous things like changing social media algorithms. You're right in thinking that very few people are doing small businesses any favors right now. But Capitalized Marketing and Consulting is here to help. We've created a 90-day course that is guaranteed to grow the revenue of your business. It will give you the tools that you've been looking for, and as a certified coach, I would be with you along the way. If you would like to learn more about our program, just visit capitalizeyourbest.com and get started enjoying the success you deserve. Again, that's capitalizeyourbest.com, and I can't wait to celebrate all you accomplish.